Okay, so I have been waiting to do this series for a good while now, and honestly, I'm kind of happy about the idea of us finally sitting down and beginning our coverage over X-Man. Now, X-Man is really important because, well, it all began in the Age of Apocalypse timeline. So let me explain. So when it came to Legion Quest, as you all know, when it came to Legion, he went back in time to kill off Magneto because he believed that if Magneto was not around, then most likely Charles Xavier would have been able to achieve his lifelong goal. The problem was that when it came to Legion, he went back in time. He didn't kill off Magneto, he killed off Charles Xavier. So with the death of Charles Xavier, it had brought in a brand new timeline. Now, with this brand new timeline, better known as Age of Apocalypse, we had received all these brand new versions of characters we love so much. For example, a new version of Cyclops, a new version of Logan, a new version of Jean Grey, and the list goes on. But there's one character that fans really didn't want to know about in this brand new reality, and that would be Nathan Summers, better known as Cable. But here's the problem though, because in the old timeline, Nathan Summers was the child of Scott Summers and Madeline Pryor. Now, so far in our coverage over this event, we have not seen or heard anything about Madeline Pryor. But on top of that, when it comes to Jean Grey, she's with Logan. She's madly in love with Logan. She does not like, well, Scott Summers at all. And so again, how in the world can you bring in a new version of Cable in this reality? But also, how powerful would he be? Because in the old timeline, Cable could have been a powerful mutant. But the problem was that he had to use most of his powers to keep the techno-organic virus from killing him off. And so again, how powerful would this reality version of Nathan be? But first, we have to learn, how in the world did he arrive in this reality? Now, as we dive into the opening pages of the storyline, we have to learn that in this reality, he's not Nathan Summers, he's more Nate Grey. And we'll learn more why as we go through our coverage of this series. But for right now, for Nate Grey, we're right now going through one of his dreams. Now, in this dream is him waking up and being confronted by Scott Summers. Now, he has no idea who Scott is, but apparently in this dream is Scott right now wanting to help Nate escape. Now, at first, you have Nate agree to go with Scott, but something tells Nate to go ahead and use your powers for your own escape without the help of Scott Summers. And so we see Nate being able to just break away and get out wherever he was at currently. Now, for Nate Grey, it does seem like the dream begins to change a tad bit on him to the point where he does head over to the old mansion that had belonged to Charles Xavier's family, but currently the base for Magneto's X-Men. Now, for Nate Grey, it does seem like he's right now in his astral form. And so with him being in his astral form, he's able to go inside without anybody noticing that he is there. And matter of fact, when he does go inside, he does see an argument going on between two characters, Bishop and also Magneto. Now, the whole entire argument is really more the idea that Bishop believes that Magneto should have told the X-Men about what he saw in the mind of Bishop. The whole idea that this timeline is completely wrong. Let me explain. Okay, like I said earlier, when it came to Legion, when he had killed off Charles Xavier, he had brought in a brand new timeline. But there is a catch though. You see, for Legion, when he went back in time, he also had brought with him 4 other X-Men characters as well. Now, the 4 X-Men, their main goal was to stop Legion from being able to kill off Magneto, but of course, he did kill off Charles Xavier. Now, once he did kill off Charles Xavier, Legion and some members of the X-Men were kind of pulled into the time stream because they no longer existed. A brand new timeline was coming into the picture, but Bishop did not leave. He stayed. And so for Bishop, he was able to live a life in a brand new timeline that's even worse than the old timeline where he came from. Now, with all that being said, when it came to Magneto of this reality, he looked into the mind of Bishop and realized that this timeline is completely wrong. And so when it comes to their argument at this point in time, where it's happening right now, it's really more of Magneto have not told all the X-Men what he saw in the mind of Bishop, but also it's Bishop saying you're also holding things back from them that they should know about. Now, while you have young X-Men here, or Nate Gray in his astral form watching this argument happen, he's then confronted by Forge. And you have Forge say, hey, listen, you need to stop what you're doing right now and come back into reality. But right after you do have Nate Gray leave, we kind of find out that this scene right here was not technically a dream. That matter of fact, it was Nate Gray being there in the real world, but in his astral form, because you have Magneto look into the mirror. And when he did, he saw the reflection of Nate Gray. But when he turns around, he didn't see Nate Gray at all. But as we get back into reality, we see Nate Gray wake up and be confronted by different members of the Outcasts. Now, the Outcasts are a group of mutants who were not really down with the idea of what Apocalypse is trying to do to North America. So their main goal is two things. One, to go around North America to save many human lives, but on top of that, to put on plays for humans as a way of entertainment. Now, for this group of Outcasts, you have different characters like Forge. He is the actual leader of the group. But you also have Toad there as well. Sauron, Mastermind, and Brute. And so these characters make up the Outcasts. Now, for Forge, he's kind of like the best friend for Nate, but there is a catch though. Because Forge has found out that Nate Gray has been practicing in private when it comes to his abilities. But the problem is that when you have Nate Gray trying to do that, he causes very huge feedback from his body to destroy things around him. And so you have Forge in the Outcast show Nate what he did the area surrounding him. It is completely cleared out, completely wrecked. Now for Forge, he's like, you know what? We'll talk about this later. But for right now, we got to move on because we have a play to perform. And really, we do see these heroes or characters being able to perform a play for a group of humans right now who just need some kind of entertainment. But here's the catch, because with the powers of Mastermind, he has these people believing that they're just regular humans who are in costumes to look the part of different plays they're putting on. And that's the thing right there, because for Mastermind, he wants to make sure that these humans right here have no idea that they are mutants, because thanks to Apocalypse, humans are now even more scared of the mutant race. Now, you do have some guys there who kind of believe that, hey, you know what? You guys are not just regular people putting on plays. No, you must be mutants. Now, you do have Nate Gray go out of his way to use his powers to kind of play with their minds to make them walk away. Now for Forge, he's kind of like, you gotta stop doing that because we have no idea how powerful you truly are. But here's the thing, because if you are really that powerful, every single time you use your powers, then most likely you're kind of like this beacon for somebody to find, somebody who's most likely working for Apocalypse. And honestly, he was right, because you have Apocalypse right now having a conversation with Scott Summers. Now, it's not Scott Summers the one who tells Apocalypse about Nate Gray. No, it is actually Shadow King. Shadow King is working for Apocalypse. And you have the Shadow King say, hey, I just detected a very powerful psychic mutant nearby, not nearby, but over in the West Coast. And so for Apocalypse, it's kind of like, you said they're very powerful. That right there is very interesting, but also very dangerous as well. And so you have Apocalypse say, hey, Domino, I need you to go ahead and go over there to ask this young man to join our side. If he says no, I need you to go ahead and kill him off. Because Apocalypse know if Shadow King is worried about somebody, then most likely that person has the ability to take down Apocalypse. But now we have to jump back over to the outcast. Now, when we do, it's really more of the outcast watching a group of humans in Kansas be collected up by the Infinites. Now, the Infinites, they work for Apocalypse. Now, for the people, they have believed that Apocalypse had officially stopped all these culling events across North America. Now, by this point in our coverage, we already know that is not true. But on top of that, these humans believe that he has stopped going out of his way to collect humans for quote unquote testing. But right now, all of these people are being collected, including a young woman known as Teresa. Now, for the outcast, they see what is currently happening. So their main goal is to help out these people the best they can. Now, for Nate, he wants to help out, but you have Forge say no. You need to stay here. So you have the outcasts go out of their way to free those humans. The problem is that in the middle of them trying to achieve that, you have Sauron get injured. And with Sauron getting injured by the Infinites, you have Nate say, enough is enough. It's time for me to finally help out with my guys. And when it comes to Nate Gray helping out, Nate makes sure when he helps out that everyone who's against him is officially defeated, because you have Nate Gray being able to take out an Infinite like it was nothing. Now, for Nate Gray, he does not realize that he is about to be attacked from behind. But then at the very last second, you have Teresa save his life. Now, Teresa in the old timeline is better known as Siren, but in this reality, it seems like she had no idea that she is a mutant. And so right when she tried her best to warn him about being attacked from behind, she had released her sonic scream like her father Banshee had in the old and new timeline. But either way, she was able to protect Nate. Now for Nate, he tells Forge and the rest of the outcasts that Teresa is coming with them. And for Forge, he has no choice but to go ahead and agree. Now, for our heroes, as they're trying to get away from that area, they run into another man. Now, this man says his name is Essex. And we're kind of wondering who in the world could this man truly be? But this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.